Hey there everyone, I'm Don, Professor Goway, and welcome to the GowayPro Travel Tale Podcast. Travel far and travel often. Hello everyone, welcome to the GowayPro Industry Insider webinar series. Today we're coming back to one of our favorite subjects, which is groups, because groups is very, very popular with everyone out there. It's also very popular here at Goway. If you didn't know, we have one of, if not the largest groups department in North America. And our guest today is Heather Varga, not with an S, Varga, V-A-R-G-A, sorry. And I'll explain why I point out not the S in a minute. Heather, how many people do we have in our groups department? Do you know offhand or roughly?
I believe our team is roughly about 32, 33 people
32.
Total.
And we're spread, we being the group department, or Goway in general these days, all over North America and probably internationally as well. Do we have international
a few
people?
Members of our team are in Manila.
In Manila. Do we
Yes.
have any? Patrick used to work or works for us. He was in Japan at one stage on the FIT side. Do we have any groups of people like truly remote in another country?
We don't currently at the moment,
Okay.
but we do have a couple of groups of people in the U.S. as
In
well.
the US, so yeah. So we're spread out. In the old days, our head office for groups used to be in Vancouver. It's not really that anymore because the lady who ran groups back in the day, Barbara Norton, since retired, and Shirley has taken over, and she's based here in Toronto, where Heather is based, correct? You're here
Correct.
in Toronto, and this is where we're doing our recording today. Now, the reason I bring up Heather's surname is I asked her before we came on air, is that Latin? And she said if you drop the S, it becomes
Hungarian.
And we chatted a bit further as well. And Heather's heritage is also First Nations Canada. I always get this pronunciation wrong. The Métis, is that the
Métis tribe.
Métis tribe?
Yeah.
Now, my understanding, because I being my family, we visited a friend of ours who's a farmer in Alberta, and he works very closely with the Métis tribes out there from the farming and rural side of things. And he was looking at getting, he breeds cattle. And he was looking at breeding, well, he doesn't do it, but another farmer friend of his has one of the largest herds of white buffalo, albino buffalo in Canada, if not North America. And they were working together with the Métis tribes to start farming the buffalo for the meat and stuff like that. And I learnt, and correct me if I'm wrong, Métis is a mix of colonial and First Nations going back, or is it a completely different tribe?
No, it is a slight.
Or group, I should say, not tribe. I think tribe's not the right word. But
Yeah,
group.
So the group of people,
Yeah,
yes.
group, yes, sorry,
So,
group, yeah.
I mean, we do have a mix back.
Right, okay.
And actually, most of them, I know we are spread out in Canada, and we do have some of our First Nations, of course, in that West Coast area, but we go back sort of to the time where because we have the French influence on my side of the family.
Okay.
So we were more up in like the Quebec region.
Okay. Oh, really? So is Métis also a Canadian thing? Like, do you have Métis groups in the US, or is it a Canadian designation, for want of a better term?
I think so. I know that also, again, we do cross into the U.S. side originally into my family history. Right. So we kind of are a cross between the two on my family side before sort of some of the lines came through for the border.
I was just about to say that was all what a border was.
Pre-borders.
Pre-colonial borders.
Yes.
Okay, then. Now, the reason I bring that up is, one, I'm interested in this type of personal history of people, but two, Heather's area of expertise within the groups department is the Americas and Asia. Now, the Americas for us is exactly that, anywhere from, Alaska, Canada, the US, and then all the way down to Patagonia, Chile, and Argentina. So Heather covers all that region. I just found it interesting with your heritage as well. So there's some truly deep-rooted knowledge there, and we will touch on this in a minute from a group's point of view of whether First Nations experiences can be part of a group trip. But you also deal with Asia. So yes. Can you give our listeners what Asia means to Goway from a country point of view? So as in which countries in Asia do we deal with?
Okay. Yeah. We cover a large selection of Asia, but we obviously have Thailand, Vietnam, Japan,
China.
South Korea, China, India,
The
Malaysia. We do. Yeah.
Maldives fall under the Asia area for us.
Yes, so we have the Maldives as well. Seychelles also does fall sort of in that category as well.
India.
I did mention India.
Oh, you did
already.
mention it? Sorry.
I sure did.
I wasn't listening, sorry.
That's okay. I'm trying to think, maybe it might be easier to list a spot that we aren't covering.
A good point, yeah.
But
okay, so again, 'cause I just did this with our Asia Roadshow or Asian Forum. So, and again, you've mentioned some of these. I know Indonesia, Malaysia, you mentioned Singapore,
of course,
Hong Kong, which is China, Taiwan, which is China,
yes,
Tibet, which is China. You mentioned Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. Do we go to Bhutan?
You know what's funny? I was just gonna say we got to include Bhutan, of course, because I think that's a fascinating destination that enough people don't consider.
Yeah, for sure. Both FIT and groups. Nepal, India, you mentioned.
Yes.
We do the stands as well. Does that fall under Asia? Yes, it does, because I spoke to Maury about this, Maury being our VP of the Asia department. So the stands fall under us, which is Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. There's one more. There is also Pakistan, which we don't do at the moment for obvious reasons.
We're not currently.
Yeah.
But I know that it's something that hopefully we will be doing in the future. I mean, there are talks about.
Yeah, I travelled there years ago, and it's a beautiful, beautiful country. But obviously, at the moment, there's some political tension in that area. Okay, then. So again, we talked about your background, your heritage, what you looked after here at Goway as our group's destination specialist, the Americas and Asia. But one thing we wanted to touch on today is not only the type of group you can do, which we've discussed many times. So if you want to get more depth about what types of groups we can do, you can look at any of our past webinars and or podcasts. Look at our GowayPro Travel Academy modules on groups travel as well. We touch on a lot of types of groups there. But one thing you wanted to bring up today in our conversation was your terminology of elevated group travel or group style, which I sort of threw back luxury. But it's not exactly necessarily just luxury, is it?
I mean, I would say that it's a form of luxury, but it doesn't necessarily have to fall under the luxury category, because sometimes it could just be some unique experiences that are taking something to the next level. Right, so, for example, we can do private villas for groups. I know that sometimes that's a question that generally comes up, but with that, I mean, we can cater the whole experience to upgrade it, to add private chef meals, coordinated to tailored to your needs. We could hire, if depending which country you're going to. I know that some people in certain countries, they hesitate for security reasons. Well, if that's a comfort that you'd like to hire security, we could have 24-hour security. We can make sure that you have butlers 24 hours. Like, those are just like added touches that we can include in some of those experiences. Sometimes it might be, hiring that private helicopter to fly somewhere and have a picnic in a remote area. Just little like unique experiences. Yes, they can fall into the category of luxury, but also it can just be an everyday group looking to share a very unique or memorable experience, and the whole trip doesn't have to be surrounded by expensive experiences. It could just be some unique elements. So
some of the examples you just brought up, have you done those yourself with past bookings, helicopter rides, etc.? Is that something you've personally booked, or you know of within Goway that have done that type of thing?
Yes, definitely for the helicopters. And as far as, for example, one of the destinations that I cover is Colombia, and we have we have access to actually some really beautiful villas there, private villas, who can give you sort of the experiences I talked about. Also getting out private venues, having people, even if you have a villa, having experiences come to you in your villa as well. Hiring, if you want to go shopping and you're looking for specific things, we have access to getting you a personal shopper for the day that's going to take you and get you everything, two options of that personal travel. One, that they're going to go with you and they're going to help you tailor your shopping experience. Or two, you're going to advise them what you're looking for, what you need, and they'll go do the shopping for you. So these are some of those like extra added value or elevated sort of experiences.
Yeah, with my experience in Latin America too, though, you can get it everywhere in the world from an accommodation point of view. Some of the options in Latin America, or Asia for that matter as well, villas. Some of the hotels are even built what were once monasteries or universities. So there are so many really good, authentic accommodation options worldwide, but particularly in the Americas and in Asia, the hutongs, the ryokans in Japan, all that type of thing. So,
definitely.
Yeah, so accommodation is a big part of any trip, FIT or groups. But if you can make it special, FIT or groups, that will elevate
your experience.
Elevate your experience, yeah.
I think, though, the misconception generally comes in that because they are a group, we aren't going to be able to get them some of those stays, right? Because they see it as more of an individual booking.
Well, that was my next question. Well, not so much a question because I know how it works in your world of groups, but the point I wanted to bring up is, and I've written down a couple of questions for you, but I'm going to ask and answer in the one thing, but you can expand on it for me. It's like, why group travel with Goway? And one of the points I think is that on the focus on accommodation at the moment, the examples you bring up, it's very difficult for someone who's not connected or knows the way it works to go out and get some of these very special types of accommodation for groups of 10 or more, which is what a group is at Goway, 10 or more. And our groups people know who to talk to and how to arrange that. Now, it might all be in the same villa per se, but they can get a group of villas. So that becomes important. As one of the my question was, why group travel with Goway? And this is one of the reasons that you can accommodate literally big numbers in special accommodation or standard accommodation as well. Yes?
Correct.
Yeah.
Actually, just why Goway for groups? And I think a key thing here is that we can really tailor make and customize anything. I will give you an example of a group that I worked on last year. Actually, it was a DJ that decided that they wanted to take their followers to a destination. Yes.
Nice.
And so they do different types of parties and experiences, but they were very specific on their needs, including equipment. They absolutely required specific equipment in order for them to DJ these
equipment,
events.
you mean, yeah.
And I can tell you that it wasn't easy. We got that equipment and we flew it in.
What was the destination?
It was also Colombia.
Oh, it was Colombia.
Yes.
Oh, I've driven through Colombia. I know they've got that equipment down there. But that was difficult to get?
Well, so they were basing their experience in Cartagena, and the equipment wasn't located in Cartagena. So we actually had to fly it in from another city, but we located it. We did search all over.
DJ equipment?
It was specific. They were very specific.
Like model number specific.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that just shows you that we have the capabilities to really get you everything that you need.
But I find that surprising because one of my memories of Colombia is, for those who don't know, I used to be an overland driver, so we drive through all of Latin America. And in Colombia in particular, and this is back in the day, I'm not sure if it's like this now, as you drive into a town, there was always an army checkpoint. Mm-hmm. You drive into, you just show your paperwork and drive through. But as you entered a town, there was music, pumping. Because, again, a lot of the towns, the main roads and all the shops and stuff are on the edge, and they'd be pumping the music and lights going off. So they had the sound systems. But again, as you just mentioned, you're referring to a particular model of a turntable or something like that. So back to Heather's point, the groups department is that experience, and we can resource. Now, that's a story I hadn't heard before. Speaking to Jennifer, one example she uses of unique groups is a group of undertakers going to, I think, Argentina, again, back to the Americas as well. So not only can we do unique groups, undertakers, DJs, but to your point, the requirements of the group, generally, we can't match everything all the time, but that's pretty specific.
Yes.
Types of...
It just shows you that, we do have access to, obtain things that sometimes might not always be that easy to obtain.
Yeah.
So we have the right contacts and connections in order to make your group everything you need it to be.
And I think it's important on that example particularly is that if you have someone come to you with a group and you think their request is weird and wonderful, it probably is, it might be, but don't say no or go, oh, I don't know, because there's a very good chance when you call Heather or one of the team here that they can definitely help you out with that. So why with Goway? We just discussed that, and I think you've heard through Heather's examples here pre this question. Groups runs like our FIT department. You come to Heather and say, I have a group of X amount of people, they want to do this, and they're very specific about that. We will customize it. And as Heather's pointed out, we can get DJs, we can get their equipment, we can bring their followers, so we can handle the air, we can handle large numbers. Again, 10 or more is our groups. How big was that group, the DJ group?
200.
There you go, 200. And we haven't done this in a while, but we did the police and firemen's games in Australia many years ago, and it was like 10,000. So we can handle monster groups as well. But that's 200 is above average.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. What would be the average group that you deal with, group size?
I would say probably 20 to 50 is pretty
normal?
Pretty normal, a group size. And of course, they do go up. I mean, I have currently, right now, at least, I have an 80 passenger.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where are they off to?
Japan.
Japan. Anything in particular in Japan?
No, they're just a sightseeing leisure group,
Right.
but they are quite a large group.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're not like a specific type of niche. So
Right, they're just a group who want to go to Japan.
Yes.
So for those out there who may not have worked with groups before, and they have someone call them up and say, I have 80 people who want to go to Japan, do the golden route, which is the standard. And to Heather's point, they're not looking for anything particular. They don't want to do anime as a focus. They don't want to cook as a focus, whatever it may be. How do you approach with your Asian partner accommodating, again, using that word accommodate, because generally speaking, the accommodation is the key to any itinerary, group FIT. Availability, what they want. Now, if you're dealing with 80 people in Japan, what's the logistics of splitting that group up into hotels? Have you got them in the same hotel every city, or do you have to split them up?
I do have them in the same hotel in every city.
Oh,
However,
okay.
of course, by vehicle, we've had to split them up
Okay,
because
there
we
you go.
don't
Yep.
have that size. So we do have 2 vehicles, 2 guides, and they have been advised that if they expand, it would go to a 3rd vehicle.
Right. On that note of the hotels and the vehicles, how far ahead is this group booked to get everyone in the same hotel?
They booked about, because they are departing in June, so of 2027.
27, so a year from now.
So I'd say
but
they
when
booked
did you get the
about-
call from them?
They probably booked about 5 months ago.
So 18 months out-ish, ballpark. In normal circumstances, without considering a World Cup happening or Olympics or some big local event, is 18 months ahead a good time to book for a 10-size group or an 80-size group? Should you think that the more people you have, the further ahead you should book?
I think that it definitely depends on destination. Like somewhere like Japan, if you're calling us probably within 12 months for 80 people, we are unlikely to find all the space in one hotel, and we may have to consider a split.
Right.
Because the destination is in demand and people are booking, so the space does become limited. In another destination, potentially it could be possible, but I would say that when you're coming in for a large group, and not only just for space, but for pricing, it's better to come in early.
Okay. So 18 months minimum would be a good suggestion for people with a group,
I would say.
regardless of number.
I think though, if you want, like, if you're coming in with a group ready,
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ready.
if you're
Yeah,
coming
ready.
in with a group ready and you have your numbers, like if you know, okay, we've got 20 people, they're 100% going, then you can come in at 12 months and roll
Right.
with that. But if you are looking for putting something unique together and selling it to your client database, I would say minimum 18 months, because what you want to do is you want time to advertise and market that group and find your audience. And then you need to, like, you want people to have time to pay, because at times some of these trips can, start to cost, especially depending on the experience. It gives people time to make installments or put money down towards the trip or plan for it. And this, we find, gives a better success rate to having your groups filled and putting the numbers together. Also, when you do plan ahead and say at 18 months and you come to us at about the 12-month mark and you're like, okay, I'm struggling a little bit. I haven't really filled my space, and I'm not sure where to go from here. We still have enough time to jump in there and support you and come up with ideas, or maybe make a slight change that we feel we might need to change in order to increase those numbers. In the groups department, we're definitely there to support you. And so if you started at 12 months, and then in a few months you came to us, it starts to get too close for us to be able to jump in and find a solution to fix. But when we start at 18 months, it gives us lots of time to make sure you're successful.
Yeah, so this is a couple of key things about groups is they can be easier as a booking because you create one itinerary and you sell it to 10, 20, 30, 50, 80 people. So that's easier versus every booking being a different setup, requests, etc. So that's one positive. But the flip side is herding those 10, 20, 30 or 80 people into that particular itinerary, agreeing to it, accepting the price, which brings us to my question of this. You mentioned if someone comes to you with a group ready to go, the numbers, the itinerary is pretty much a stock standard thing without any crazy refinements 12 months out. And then you mentioned if you just have a group that you're trying to create. So we term that as a spec group. That's a speculative group. It's either something you as a travel agent has come to Goway, then it's your idea and you want to shop it, or someone outside has come to you as the agent and said, I've got this concept, I want to shop around. So let's just, for the sake of it, I'm a photographer, I want to do a photography group. The intent for me, as the term we use, Pied Piper, is I want a free trip out of it. I'll bring to you, the travel agent, 20, 30 people, right? Then you work together, you and I, the agent and myself, you speak to Heather and you now come up with an itinerary, and then you go out and shop it. And as Heather mentioned, we will support you in marketing and all that type of thing. You can learn all this through the academy. Your account manager will also support you as well in that. But that, to your point, takes longer because you're now trying to find the people. Mm-hmm. Okay. So my question after all that sort of preamble is, on average, how many spec groups do you get versus agents coming to you with a group ready to go? Is there an average?
I want to say probably 75% to 80% of our business is spec groups.
Is spec.
Yes.
Now, is the spec coming from the agent or is it coming from one of their clients? Or you're unsure of that?
I would say that a good chunk of them are coming from the agents and some are coming from clients. Maybe yoga instructors, gym instructors, like you said, someone in a photography business, maybe
DJs.
DJs. I also have had influencer trips as well that I've done. Last year, I had a luxury influencer South Korea trip. So her following
was that K-pop, K-beauty?
No, this one, it was just like a luxury trip. They did Michelin star restaurants.
Ooh, nice.
And they did elevated, upgraded spa experiences and beauty experiences, and they did a bunch of different sightseeing. So and then they stayed in high-end properties as well. But so this was, and I'm currently working on, actually, it's not quite finalized yet, but I am working on another sort of influencer trip at the moment as well. And they are putting together sort of a retreat style in Thailand.
So of the groups that you deal with, be it spec or otherwise, so this is a two-pronged question. How many repeat agents do you have coming back to you? I.e. the agent has repeat groups booking, which is one of the big benefits of groups. Once you get going with groups, it is very, very financially financially lucrative to you as the agent. But how many, and do you know of the agents that come back to you have the same person at their end coming back to them? So like I'm the Pied Piper, I've come up with a photography group, I've got my little following together, and every year I'm moving. Now I say this because I used to deal with a group like this. It was the same core of travelers. It was a retired group of bankers. Every year they do a group trip together. So every year they were coming back and back and back. How many of those do you have of repeat agents and or repeat end user clients?
I have a large number of repeat agents,
Right.
but as far as repeat group clients, we definitely have a good handful of them. Me personally, I have a couple, but also, you know, if it doesn't cover my region, then, you know, one of my colleagues might take over. So, for example, my South Korea influencer, they have come back, but they are covering another region on their next trip. So they're working with one of my other colleagues. So of course, I mean, we have a great product at Goway. So if people are on their trip and they're having an amazing time, 100% they're going to come back to us and they're going to ask for us to do it again somewhere else.
Yeah. So. And this is what used to happen too. This is a little tip as well. If you as the agent, you're the organizer of the group or something you've come up with, you know, spec group, which you've now made happen, a little tip I would suggest is when that group's traveling on the assumption it's all going well, which hopefully with Goway it will go well, when you've got that group ready to book and it's going, so when's your Japan group going? In 27, you said? 27. Right, so use this one as an example. I would now start planning with Heather another one for that group, right? So I can be the same, the regions you work in, be it another Asia destination or somewhere in the Americas, but come up with another itinerary that you can then pitch at the last couple of days of the group trip they're on in Japan. Just say, hey, guys and girls, how about this one for Peru next year? Okay, it's all set to go. Here's the pricing, bang, 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 bang. You hit them while they're hot, while they're in a travel mood. Everything's going wonderfully well for them. And this is how we used to work with this banking group. They did it by choice. They wanted this. So we would actually present 2 different itineraries at the end of the trip. You can go one in South Africa, one in Europe. And as a group, they would choose. And then you were basically booking the next group as soon as that group trip finished. And you were nodding your head. Yeah.
Yes, because this is exactly what one of my agents does. So she has her sort of business. She has a specific name for them, and we do currently 2 trips a year for the clients. It's an all women's
there you
group.
Go. There's another one. Yep.
And so what happens is, like, every year we plan these 2 trips, and then just before the trip is about a month and a half before the trip's about to depart, she comes to me, she gets ready, she's like, we start brainstorming what next trip is going to be so that she could present it and launch it at that. She always does a welcome dinner. So every time at the welcome dinner, when the group arrives, she gives little gift bags and she presents what the next trip is going to be. And she launches it so that by the time everyone's on a high from the trip coming home, they're ready to deposit down on the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Strike while the iron's hot. There's a good little tip there from a marketing point of view. I like that. She presents little gift bags as well. So again, if it's you out there as the agent who are pushing these groups, you've got to also, you work with Heather and her expertise on building the itinerary. You give her what you want, DJ equipment, photography gear, wellness resort, whatever it may be, and Heather will create that for you. But you've also got to become the marketer and market yourself and then the trip itself. So a couple of good points there. Like, look at maybe pushing the next trip when the first one's running. Little gift bags, little thank you notes on their return, all that type of stuff. And again, we can help you out on those marketing points. Some technical questions, or not really technical, more logistical. You mentioned when you were answering a question before about payments, if a trip is either expensive or even if it's not expensive, but the end user client out there can't pay it all in one hit, we can take payments in installments. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
We can do installed payments, so they can pay along as they go up until the final payment date.
Now, can the clients pay us directly or do they have to go via their agency, or is that a choice?
Okay, so with groups, we do have a payment link that is available for the group to make their payments on, and the agent can share that with the clients, and the clients can use that link to make a payment towards the group trip. And what would happen if a client does make a payment themselves within 24 hours business day, the agent will have an update advising who has made a payment and the amount that they've made the payment for, so that they will be in the loop as well that somebody has put money down towards the trip.
Yeah, that was my question, because we've had agents ask this, and their question is, how do I know who's paid what? But you've just answered that
Correct.
They get notification of it as well. What's our deposit rules at the moment as we sit here? Not a promotional one. Okay. What's our normal deposit one? Then we'll talk about any promotional deposits.
Our group deposit policy is $1,000 deposit to get the group going and started. And final payment would be at 90 days, of course, depending on, any special requirements or needs, or there may be additional deposits that could come into play, but that would be the standard.
Okay, so it's $1,000 regardless of group size. So if you get 10 or more, like let's say you have 11, it's $1,000. If you walk through the door with 80, it's $1,000. If your 80 drops to 60, it's still $1,000. That doesn't change. And that equates to basically it's $100 per person based on a minimum of 10. So it's pretty good. Is the deposit movable if the group doesn't come through for the date that they were looking at?
So as long as you cancel outside of 120 days from departure, that deposit would be allowed to be used towards another group booking, as long as it's booked within 12 months from the period of the cancellation.
And then after that, unfortunately, if you do cancel again, it will be a non-refundable situation. Heather also mentioned too, from a deposit point of view, the $1,000 is for Goway. If you are booking, let's say something, an Amazon cruise, a Nile cruise, the cruise lines, or if you're going to see the mountain gorillas, mountain gorilla permits payment is due upon confirmation. So as Heather mentioned, there may be extra deposits on top of the Goway deposit, but when you are building your itinerary, your destination specialist will tell you, be aware that this, and this, and this. So you're aware, and your clients will also be aware. Now, is there any promotional deposit incentive at the moment?
We do. We have an incentive until the end of July currently that any new bookings booked before the end of the month would be a deposit of $750 for the group, and a bonus $250 on your GowayPro card, half paid at the time that you confirm the booking and half paid once the group departs.
Okay, yeah. And just so you know, deposit and those rewards, it's US or Canadian. So it's equivalent, $750 US or $750 Canadian. We're not doing exchange ratey things with that. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to touch on or highlight from the elevated side of group travel? Any other examples? Like, I think you've covered it pretty well just through your general answers of how we can customize to what the group's requirements are, be it a standard trip to Japan or elevated from getting equipment in for a group of DJ or the DJ in Colombia. As you've heard, as Goway does throughout, from FIT through groups, it's all very, very customized. Let's talk about air, actually. Let's talk about your group to Japan, 80 people. Did the agent ask you, i.e. Goway, to handle the air for that?
Okay, so we are going to be looking into group air, but not necessarily for all 80, because some passengers do want to use their own points
Yep.
and have their own preferences of airlines that they're going to book. So in this case, we are looking at probably doing group air for about half of the passengers. So we will be because I think I will be able to source the air in about another 2 weeks. So
it's about a year out. Yeah.
So once I'm able to source the air, our goal is to go for about 40 seats, and we're estimating that that's approximately how many people will take the group air together.
Right. So again, we can do group air, as Heather will be doing for her group, because Goway has its own air department. We're an air consolidator as well. So just a group air only booking we can handle as well, correct?
That is correct.
If someone just came to you with I have 100 people going to a conference, but I need the air, you can deal with that as well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, then. This is not necessarily about air. when an agent comes to you, you've worked out the itinerary, you give him or her the price at the other end. Are you giving a net or gross price to the agent?
Okay, so our standard is net, of course, but in some cases there are gross rates that are provided to some of our partners that we have agreements with. If you are getting a net, because this is always a question, am I allowed to mark it up? Of course you are. Anything over and above the net value would be your commission paid out.
Yeah. And again, a word of advice is, and again, that's how most people do their groups. You give them the net and they handle their own profit margin at the other end. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, just be careful that you don't price yourself out of it. And again, please ask our destination specialists and say, look, if I add 400 per person or 600, is that fair? Because you will know, as in Heather and the team will know, whether the final sell price is if you're pricing yourself out of potential bookings as well, because they know the market as well. Okay, time. Anything else you want me to ask?
I think no. I mean, the only other thing that I think is and this always one thing that always comes up and that I get calls is most of the time when they're calling for the group, if you get somebody in the queue or something, you get a call and then they're like, oh, I see this tour on your website, but I don't like that. Or I'm like, well, that's fine. We can start from scratch and fully customize. I feel like sometimes people don't actually realize how much customization that we could do.
I'll ask the question. Okay, here we go. Get back into it. So another thing I wanted to point out is that this is actually two things. Goway.com is our website, and it has what we call travel ideas, which is exactly that. It's an idea, it's a concept. Now, if you look at it from an FIT or a group's perspective and you think, I like it how it is, then you can buy it off the shelf. But really, the way we work is here's a concept, here's an idea for you, and then you come to your FIT or group specialist and say, I like this outline, but I want to add, subtract, push up the accommodation here, drop it down here, add the Inca Trail in there, then go luxury. So again, we are a company that customize 98% of the time. We have a few set departures of our own making, and we at times will sell as is off the website. On Goway.com, do we have sample group itineraries?
We do,
okay.
Yes, and we've us team members have actually assisted with some of those recommended group tours that we would put together for somebody.
Okay, so they're either an example you've created or it's a past itinerary that you've actually sold
Correct.
and run. But I think what I need to point out, and I'll let Heather expand on this, is that from the group's point of view, and I think you would have picked it up for our conversation today from a lot of Heather's examples, but can you highlight or emphasize the fact that we customize, particularly at the group's level?
Yes. So I know that sometimes people come to us and they see a specific itinerary, but then they say, oh, but can we just switch this out? The reality is with groups is that when you call us, we can build from scratch. We can start from scratch. And the internet samples are really just that, samples. They're examples for you to see what we can do. And if you love it, you can book it. I always love to tell people when I'm talking to them is, especially if you're doing a spec group, what's going to make you stand out in the market? What's going to make you unique? Yeah, our standard itineraries online are amazing, but if they're available for everybody, then how are you going to market yourself to be something different? So I always love when somebody's coming to build and that we say, let's dig in deep. Tell me about your clients. What's their ages? What kind of experiences they have? And from there, we start the conversation and we look for all those amazing things that aren't necessarily ready available for you to see. Like in Peru, we have family experiences with local people and families in their village or in their home. I've had a group going to India who was going during Diwali, and we incorporated that they got to spend it with a family in their home and see how the festival, have the real authentic experience. And I've had a group in Thailand come to me and be like, I want to literally have a dinner with a family. And we spoke to our local partners and we came with a family that they could spend the day with and they can cook a meal with in their home and sit down and have dinner with them. And these type of experiences aren't something that you're always going to find readily available and advertised in standard groups. And so I always encourage people, come to us, talk to us, let us make it special, and we can do that.
So back to my question I posed earlier, why group travel with Goway, and I think this is key to it, that, well, let me ask you this. Of all the groups you've sold, has any itinerary been the same?
I would say for the most part, no. There's probably been a couple that have been similar,
but not
they
the
are
same.
not the same.
Yeah. So that's why group travel with Goway. That's why travel with Goway, because I'd say 98% of the itineraries that we curate, put together and have clients come back from and rave about us, rave about you, is it's unique because it's built to exactly what they want. Now, it could be similar, but it'll never, ever be the same. I actually want to finish our little conversation, again, back to a logistics question and how it may or hopefully will impact our travel agents, partners out there. We have just taken on board, I think you're working with, I'm not sure if you personally yet, a new groups.
Oh, yes.
New groups system.
Yes.
For years and years and years, groups have been trying to get a system that works for them because the groups department and their itineraries are so unique. Finding a system that worked for them was difficult. I think we've landed it. It's been tested. We're recording this in July, I think, for the last month and a bit. It's in the testing phase. Is there anything that you want to tell our agents that will sort of make the working life easier and better for you and our agent partners?
Of course. So we are only in the first phase, and as the future phases come out, it is going to make a world of a difference for bookings. But right now, I think that the highlighted feature of the new system is, of course, our itineraries. You know, you're going to get a digital link. The clients are going to be able to have some imagery, descriptions. You're going to be able to send that. I know our old format was mainly geared towards you. We didn't really have a client copy for our agents. We could modify it, or we would give them a document that they could modify. In this case now, you don't have to worry about that anymore because you have your copy and you have the client's copy that you get to share. Right now, since the launch for this month is still just mainly about the quoting and itinerary proposal features. This is the only part you're going to see now, but down the road in the future, clients are going to be able to, go in there and enter their information as per their passports, or they're going to be able to see their balances due. And, you're going to get more system automated information that's going to come more instantly. And so it's just going to be a whole better process in the long run.
Yeah, so one of Goway's mottos, which our owner Bruce Hodge still preaches, is we can always do things better. And we have understood that the group's logistical back end, like the actual service you'll get from our destination specialists, is exceptional. The itinerary is awesome, and the end service delivered has been exceptional. We're not perfect, mistakes are made, but generally speaking, you'll have a great experience. But our back-end logistics, we know, has been a little bit of a bumpy road, but we've invested lots of time and lots of money in it. Shelley's been working very hard with the team, and the team have had involvement in making it structured, which works for them and in turn for yourself. So you will see a much smoother back-end situation coming as this system rolls out. So we're all very, very excited, particularly the team.
We are definitely excited, and I'm still waiting for all of it to come. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, time. So in my head, I'm going to edit that and put that further earlier in the conversation. Okay, so we're going to go out now. Okay. So we talk about uniqueness. Okay. So I think you've seen today or heard today, depending on what you're doing, listening or watching us, that our groups department is very well established for one. The company's 55 years old, and I think groups started at like 5 years after the company. So it's probably one of the oldest group departments as well as one of the largest. Through Heather's words, you should have picked up that customize is what it's about. It's what the team love to do because it makes your life interesting as well. That
it does.
That every booking is different. There is good financial benefits with working with groups. You get one itinerary sold to multiple people. Flip side is you have to herd those people into the itinerary. But again, if you come through with a group ready to go, or you get that spec group up and running, then you've got that momentum going for future groups. Repeat business is key. Like you mentioned earlier in our conversation that you have a lot of repeat agents.
Definitely.
Let me ask you this. How many phone calls do you get with a new agent, or is your book of business 90% your repeat agents?
I would say I'm still growing my repeat business, of course. New agents, I'm still working with new people, and I love working with new agents as well because we have a lot to grow and learn together. So I still enjoy also meeting with new
I'm
people.
sure. So if you're an experienced with groups, look to Goway with our experienced groups department. Reach out to Heather directly if you have Americas or Asia or any of our other team for any other parts of the world. If you're new to groups, reach out again to Heather or the team. They're more than happy to work with you as a new person, one, to the industry, if you've never sold travel in general, or sold FIT, but now you're looking at groups. The team will help you out, and we have so much support in the background. Again, the Travel Academy has, I think, 7 modules on finding a group, Pied Pipering the group, the logistics behind it, the marketing of it. It's all there. So if you're new, check out the Academy, run through the modules and give Heather a call, and then she will help you in the real world of it. It's such a wide open world for travel in general, but for groups, it's everything. Like it's all the destinations. Goway does all 7 continents, so we can handle any country. But then it gets into that really cool fine stuff. DJs, undertakers, photographers, influencers, which is becoming a big one, wellness groups, sports groups, women's groups. Think of any group of people, any hobby, then that's a potential group waiting to happen that you can tap into. Heather, before we go, anything you want to say to our travel partners out there?
Just that, we're called destination specialists for a reason. So no matter your experience with groups or even at a region, you come to us because we are fully knowledgeable and capable of taking care and providing you with all the information you need.
There you go. So on that note, I'd like to thank Heather for her time today. And as always, thank you out there for giving us an hour or so of your time. We know how busy you are, and hopefully now how busier you will be with your next group bookings. Until next time.
Bye.